What it is, what it be like, everybody, back for another episode. It's your boy Icon with The Flash. So now things are heating up here. So when the episode starts, Barry and the gang, like, they're still trying to figure out how to build a speed force. Barry's he's in the red zone now, and they're the show's coming down to an end, so obviously they got to figure this thing out quickly. He's basically, his speed is in the red zone. Like, he's got a quarter tank of gas left. So they're trying to build the speed force. They set the whole machine up, hit the button, doesn't work. Cecile shows up. She's talking to Barry because he's been sleeping on the. I guess he's been at the West House. He's been sleeping at the West household. She's talking to him about Iris, and then she's just like, "Oh, Barry, don't you want to talk to your wife?" And I'm like, first of all, she threw me out. So why do I got to be the one to go say something to her? But he was just like, "Nah, I'm good." He's like, "Just tell her I love her," and then it's all gravy. Ralph and Cisco, they go see Caitlin because for some reason Caitlin didn't come into work, and everybody breaks off. Cecile goes home. And she sees Barry. He's got like all these boxes and papers, and he's got the damn the board up, and he's writing equations and everything. And then she's like, "What's going on?" And then he was just like, "Yo, that's not Iris." He was like, it took me like 6-7 episodes, but he was just like, "Yo," he was like, "That's not Iris." And he was like, I tracked all the information back to the day that Iris went into McCullum like Industries, and then she said that he said something happened to her that day, and whatever happened, this isn't her. He was like, it's I've heard of he's like I've ruled out shapeshifters, I've ruled out Martians, he's like there are no more doppelgangers. He's like I've gone through everything I could think of, and he was just like all the obvious things have been put on the table. But he was like, so this is something new we're dealing with. That's not Iris, and we got to figure out why that's not Iris. But Cecile, she's just kind of like, are you sure? This and there. So Cecile goes and talks to Iris. She and the mirror Iris. She's having second thoughts about the entire situation. She's lived Iris's, because hell, Iris got trapped in the mirror like right after Crisis. Iris got trapped in the mirror. So, she's lived that life now since basically like January, and she's lived with Barry. She's been with Barry. She's been with the team. And she does have traits of the real Iris in her. So she's at a point now where she's starting to have compassion. She's supposed to be working for the Mirror Master, and she's supposed to be like doing her bidding, which she's done. But like I said, she's starting to feel a little guilty about the things that she's doing. Cecile kind of picked up on it, but then the Mirror Camilla, who hasn't been a mirror as long, she she threw her wedge, and she was like, no, she's like, Iris just needs to focus on her. So I was like, all right, and then Cecile was just like, all right, whatever. So she goes back to Barry, and then she tells Barry, she's just like, yo, I think you're right. So Barry comes up with so Barry and Cecile, they break into the Citizen. They start snooping around Iris's stuff. Barry goes into her computer, and he finds the photo that the real Camilla took of Iris and Wally that showed Iris's like crystallized form. So Barry's just like, that's it. That's not Iris. He was like, we got the proof. So so they get Nash in on it. So Nash comes to the room. Nash got the wrist gun ready. Mirror Iris comes into Star Labs. Camilla's there. Barry's there. Nash is there. And then they just tell her, they're like, yo, we know you're a fake bitch. Just tell us the truth. And Barry was just like, to prove it, he was like, I have this device that when I shine this device on you, your true form will show. Your crystallized form will show. So Barry, and then Mirror Iris tried to be slick. She tried to hit him with she was just like, how could you, Barry? How could you think I'm not me? I'm your wife. I'm like, what? You kicked me out the house. You kicked me out the house was bullshit. Talking about I'm your wife. And then she had the nerve to tell him, she was like, she was basically like, yeah, I know I was completely wrong. I was emotional and I overreacted and I was wrong for throwing you out the house. But you should have tried better. She was like, it's been a week and you should have tried harder to come home. And I'm just like, what warped world are we living in where she cursed this man out, kicked him out his own house, and then got mad. She got mad at him because he didn't tell her about her dad going to witness protection. She kicks him out the house because she's so mad about the fact that he didn't tell her. then now she's mad at him because after she told him to leave because she didn't want to see him, she's mad because he didn't try hard enough to come back home. And I'm just like, when she said that, like, I know it was all part of the act, and Mira Iris didn't really mean all because she's playing a role, but when she said that, I hit pause, I got up, and I walked away because I was like, yo, my mind is blowing my mind. Like, my mind, this logic is blowing my mind right now. So, so he shines the device on her, and it doesn't work. So then she gives him the, well, you were wrong, Barry. I'm me. Now let's see if you're you. And she turns the machine around on him, and then Barry is shown in a crystallized form. And then we later see a flashback where, because like the Mirror Master, like she can see all. Like if there's a mirror, if there's a window, she can see it. So she's basically been following Barry and them. She's been looking on to see what they're doing this whole time. She knows. She knew the plan. She and she told Mirror Iris, she was like, yo, they trying to roll up on you. She's like, they're trying to expose you. Barry's going to use this device to expose you. So, so she came, so while they were arguing, Barry well, I mean, I don't want to say foolishly because he doesn't know about the whole mirror thing yet, but and this was a coincidence too, because I'm just like, what are the odds that this one device that could expose Mirror Iris for being a fraud, he just conveniently happened to take the device and place it down on top of a mirror. So the Mirror Master, she took the device, she pulled it in, she reversed it, because again, it's the Mirrorverse, so she reversed the whole thing. Because she reversed it, instead of showing the mirror copy's crystallized form, it made regular humans look crystallized. So when fake Iris shined the light on Barry, it showed Barry being a crystal. And then Nash was about to shoot Barry, but Cecile, she was feeling his emotions and his thoughts, and then he asked her, he was like, yo, Cecile, you believe me, right? He was like, I'm the real Barry. And she was like, yeah, I do believe you. And then she still put the metacuffs on him, and I was just like, So I'm like, so do you believe him? So I'm like, okay. So they put Barry in the pipeline again. Like, I feel like Barry spends, like, there's always a point during the season where Barry ends up in the pipeline for some reason. So they put him in the pipeline. Mirror Iris she tells Nash and Cecile, she's like, we got to find my husband. She ends up going back to their apartment. Mirror Camilla and Mirror Singh is there. They're putting mirrors all over Barry and Iris's apartment. And they're just like, yo, we got something we got to do so we can get our mother. They're calling her mom. They're calling Mirror Master their mother. She's like, there's one more thing we got to do so we can get our mom out of prison. Meanwhile, like Barry's trapped in the pipeline. So in order to get her out of the mirror, they need a drop of blood by none other than Ramsey, of all people. And when they showed his picture, I paused for a second, and I was like, yo, I forgot all about Ramsey. And it was funny because, like, even me, like, I have to remind myself when it comes to DC TV, Flash, Arrow, Black Lightning, Legends, Supergirl, Batwoman, etc. This is the first time I've ever done this. This is the first time I've done these reviews. Ramsey happened this year. I dead ass forgot Ramsey was this season. Like, for some reason in my mind, I thought Ramsey was last season, but I'm like, but that can't be, because I did reviews on Ramsey, and I'm just like, wow, we are so far removed from how the season started. Like, this whole season started with Ramsey trying to, like, blood control. Like, we went from Bloodsport to the Mirror Master, and it feels like we're in two completely different seasons right now. But this is still season 6. So, but it was good to see Ramsey come back. So the Mirror people, they go down to Ramsey's cell. They tell him flat out. They're just like, yo, we're not the real people. We're clones. And we're trying to save our clone mother. And they said, they said her name. And then Ramsey was just like, yeah, I know who she is. Like, she died. And they was like, nah, she's trapped in a mirror, and we need your blood to get her out. So Ramsey gives them the blood, but in order to get the blood, like, he had to, like, physically, like, give them the blood. But there was a force field that protected them from him. So the Mirror Camilla basically ran into the force field and short-circuited. And even then, when she, because she's a clone, she's a mirror copy, but because Iris spent time with her, Mirror Iris spent time with her for so long, when she said she was going to run into the force field to short circuit it, Mirror Iris actually felt bad and she was concerned and she was worried. She was just like, but if you do that, you're going to die. And then she was just like, it doesn't matter, our mother's success is assured. And then Iris was just like, yo, y'all crazy. Like Mirror Iris, she was just like, yo, hold up. So Mirror Camilla sacrificed herself. They got the force field down. Ramsey gave him the blood. And then Ramsey put himself back in the cell because he was just like, don't worry. He was like, my victory. He's like, my day will come. So he decided not to escape. Iris runs, she goes home or whatever. Camilla now, she's talking to Barry in the pipeline. And I guess Camilla at some point, she started getting bad vibes off of Mirror Iris. And she started getting, good vibes off of Barry. So she's at the point now where Camilla's just like, yo, I know what the facts are saying, but my metahuman powers and my gut's telling me you're the real Barry. So she lets Barry out of the pipeline. Barry goes back to his house to go save his wife and confront the Mirror Iris once and for all. So what happened next was actually pretty cool. So Barry gets to the house, he confronts Mirror Iris. He's just like, I know. He's like, you tricked me. I don't know how you tricked me, but you tricked me. And then he's just like, yo, where's my wife? And she's like, I'm your wife. He's like, no, bitch, where's my wife? And then the two of them proceed to get into this really cool choreographed CGI'd mirror fight. So because Mirror Iris, she was able to turn her hands into knives. And, Barry, like, he's got limited speed, so he can't move as fast. So they're doing the whole thing where, he's dipping and dodging. She's throwing her, her hand knives. She's cutting them. She's stabbing them. And then she starts using the mirrors where, like, she puts her hand in the mirror. Because remember, they put mirrors all over the house now. So she puts her hand in the mirror. It goes in one side. It comes out the other, stabs him in the ass. Then she puts the mirror in the, in a mirror in the ceiling. It comes out of the side, stabs him in the chest. And then, this was like really cool. There was a mirror that was on top of the ceiling. So, and again, like, Iris has the power to, to pass her body through mirrors. She ends up destroying the mirror on top of the ceiling. So, because Barry was like directly under the ceiling under the ceiling mirror. So when Iris destroyed the mirror, the ceiling mirror broke into 1,000 pieces, and the entire thing shattered in pieces was falling on top of Barry. So now that the whole thing was falling on top of Barry, he doesn't have the speed to be able to escape from that whole situation. So the glass just had no choice but to fall on him. And while the glass was falling all over him, Mirror Iris was putting her hands through other mirrors, and they were coming out of the pieces of glass that was falling on Barry. And I was just like, yo, that was hot. That was some cool shit, because I didn't even think about that, because now that there are like millions and millions of mirror pieces falling on top of him, she can literally stab him like 1,000 times in like 2 seconds. So she cut him up. Barry hit the floor. And then the whole time he hit the floor, he was just like, where's my wife? And then she's like, that's all you can think about. He's like, where's my wife? So then she got on top of him, again. And then Mirror Iris was about to kill him. Was about to, deal him the final blow. But then the real Iris, because earlier in the episode, the real Iris, she found a secret compartment that was in the Mirrorverse. And the secret department that she found, it played back everything that the Mirror Master has done for the last like X amount of years. Iris saw everything. She saw her plans. She saw the fight in between her and her husband. She saw the fact that she made copies of Sing and copies of Camilla. Iris, the real Iris, she now knows the Mirror Master's entire plan. But looking at all that knowledge at once and retaining all that information made her pass out. So then Mirror Master picked her up, tied her up in a chair, and made her watch Mirror Iris, try to kill Barry. So the whole time that Iris is watching this, she's telling her, she's just like, because the Mirror Master said, she was just like, those clones are a part of me. They feel my pain and I feel theirs. And then Iris was just like, can they feel the fact that, you're still in love with your husband? And then she's like, I'm not in love with my husband. And then she's like, then why do you still call him your husband? And then she was like freaking out. So, Iris got in her head. Like, she was just like, like, you're basically, she's like, you came up with this whole 6-year plan. She's like, you came up with this whole 6-year plan. And you're still pining over this dude and you're still in love with him and you're trying to act like you're not. And then she's like, I'm not in love with him. So she's going crazy. And now that she's going crazy, Mirror Iris is going crazy. So she's like, holding her because again they feel everything. So Barry, Barry doesn't know what's going on. Barry's like, okay, this bitch is set tripping. So he goes over to Mirror Iris and he's just like, hey, listen, I'm not gonna fight. What's wrong? And then she's just like, oh, I feel her pain and blah blah blah. And then Barry told the Mirror Iris, he was like, listen, you're not her puppet. Like, you actually get to choose. Like, you can make a choice as to what you do with your life. And then she chose to be independent and be her own person. But unfortunately that, so she wasn't going to kill Barry, but unfortunately that came with a price because Mirror Master can end her life just like that. And that's what happened. She apologized. Did she? Yeah, I guess she apologized to Barry or whatever. She told Barry that she actually, for the first time, she felt like a real person. She felt alive. And, she crystallized and then like she came apart and then she exploded. So Mirror Iris is officially gone, and then Barry, he just laid on the floor, not knowing what's going on. But then before Mirror Iris and Barry got into that fight, because remember, Ramsey's blood was the only thing that could get the Mirror Master out of the mirror dimension and into the real world. So before Barry and Iris got into the fight, she took the blood and threw it into the mirror. So after Clone Iris disappeared, Mirror Master stepped through the mirror, and then she was like, yo, I'm back, bitches. And then Barry was just like, are you gonna kill me? And she was like, actually, no. She's like, I'm not gonna kill you, Barry, because she was like, first of all, you don't got your speed, you can't heal yourself, I got your wife trapped, I got the real Camilla trapped, and I got Singh trapped as like leverage. She was like, you're no threat. So she was like, pretty much, me and my husband got some unfinished business we gotta take care of. You don't bother me, I won't bother you, it's all good. And then she dipped. And then she bounced. So, and then after that, Barry crawled, because Barry figured it out at that point. He was just like, okay, so Iris, Singh, and Camilla, they're trapped in the mirror. So Barry goes to the mirror, he starts talking to the mirror, thinking that thinking that he's talking to Iris, hoping Iris can hear him. The real Iris, she gets herself out of the rope the chair that she was tied up in. She goes to the mirror, and then she starts talking to Barry, hoping that, Barry can hear her. So two of them have a very nice, heartwarming conversation, to each other that neither one of them could hear. And then, that's how the show ended, which was cool, which was very cool. So at this point, now that Barry knows, because real Iris had, she said like an episode ago, if Barry vibrates his molecules or whatever, he can get her out of the mirror. So at some point, the boy gonna get his speed back, and then once the boy get his speed back, he gonna get Iris out the mirror. So that's basically what happens there. In a side story, I don't know why, Caitlin was home. I don't recall any. Well, she said that she was home recovering because of the damage that she took when she fought Sunshine, and I guess she went in a shock. She went into a coma, and her powers, like her metahuman powers, were trying to heal herself, and she had like this weird coma episode, and she froze her entire apartment. Ralph and Cisco was there to help her. They ended up giving her shock treatment to shock her back, back to normal. Kate's back to normal, and they're just like, yo, what's up with your powers? And she's like, I don't know, my powers are going crazy, but there's one person who can figure it out. I gotta go talk to my mom. So Caitlin's gonna go talk to her mom, don't know why. Yeah, so that was it. That was it. So very good episode of The Flash. Like I said, that mirror fight scene was very cool. Iris, from what I hear, Iris is going to get out of the mirror next week, so I'm interested to see how they get her out of the mirror. Godspeed has returned, and then Godspeed's going to take on the Flash next episode. So I guess, next episode, he's either going to get his speed back, or because of Godspeed, they're going to figure out how to create the Speed Force, how to stabilize the Speed Force to get Barry's speed back. So thank you for tuning in. We're reaching the end. This was episode 17, 18. So we don't have many left to go. And because of the worldwide pandemic, certain DC shows are getting cut short anyway, like Supergirl and Batwoman. They're not going to get 22, 23 episodes. I think they're going to stop at 20. So if it's the same thing with The Flash, we probably got 2-3 more episodes to go. But again, thank you for tuning in. Leave a comment, like, and or subscribe. Check out my Batwoman video. I got my Legends of Tomorrow video coming up pretty soon. And more DC TV as we do Supergirl and Batwoman this coming Sunday. So again, thank you all for tuning in. Leave a comment, like, and or subscribe. And for The Flash, until next time, as always, I'm out this bitch.